School taught us how to find the area of a triangle, but never how income tax actually works. And here's the truth. Most Aussies are completely wrong about how the tax system works, and it's holding many back from earning thousands more. In this video, I'm going to share exactly how Australia's income tax system works. Let's get into it. Here is Australia's tax rate table for the 2024-25 financial year. Australia has what's called a progressive tax system. As you earn more, you also get taxed more. On the left-hand side of the table are annual income bands, and on the right, a tax rate. That tax rate is only applied on that part of your income in that income band. This is a widely misunderstood part of the tax system, probably intentionally, so nobody questions it. So I'll break it down for you now. The first bracket shows that if you earn less than $18,200 in this financial year, you won't pay any income tax at all. That's called the tax-free threshold. The second bracket shows that if you earn between $18,201 and $45,000, only the income above $18,200 gets taxed at a rate of 16%. That 16% is what is called your marginal tax rate, which just means that for every extra dollar that you earn in that income range, you pay 16 cents in tax. People often think the whole income gets taxed at 16%, but that's not correct at all. You're only paying it on every dollar over $18,200 a year. From the third bracket onwards, you'll see there's a number followed by a percent. This number represents the maximum tax paid on the previous bracket. For example, the third bracket has $4,288. If we take $45,000 minus $18,200 and multiply this by 16%, just as we saw in the second bracket, we get $4,288. So here you pay the tax from the lower bracket and a 30% marginal rate of tax on every dollar above $45,000 up to $135,000. The fourth bracket applies to those earning above $135,000 a year. Their marginal tax rate is 37% on every dollar above $135,000. And finally, the fifth bracket applies on all income over $190,000. The marginal tax rate here is 45%. So that is the tax rates. In addition to paying income tax, many Australians are required to pay a Medicare levy to help subsidise the costs of providing healthcare services. The Medicare levy charged to most Australians is 2% of their salary. Currently, if your income is below $26,000 a year, you are exempt from having to pay, and below $32,500, you get a rebate in your tax return. If your annual income is above $97,000 as a single or $194,000 as a couple, you may have to pay a surcharge if you don't have private patient hospital cover. So in addition to paying income tax every year, most Australian workers will also have to pay a Medicare levy. But you didn't come here to do maths. I always find it easier to explain these concepts using examples, so let me introduce you to Maya, Leo, Zara, Eli, and Kai. They each earn a different income and will help you understand the income tax system better. Maya is a student at the University of Sydney. She works part-time outside of her studies, and her total income comes to $15,000 a year. On the income tax side of things, her income falls within the tax-free threshold of $18,200 a year, so she doesn't have any income tax to pay. On the Medicare side, her income falls within the $26,000 threshold, so she doesn't have to pay anything there either. So for her situation, she has no taxes to pay. Leo is an apprentice tradie earning $44,000 a year while he learns on the job. His income falls within the second income band, being greater than $18,200 but less than $45,000. So on the first $18,200, he pays no tax. We then take his salary, subtract $18,200, and multiply the remaining $25,800 by his marginal tax rate of 16%. This gives us a tax figure of $4,128. As I mentioned earlier, many people confuse the marginal and average tax rate here. If we divide Leo's tax bill by his income, his average tax rate is actually 9.4%. So his whole income isn't taxed at 16%, only the part of his income above $18,200. Also, his income is higher than Medicare's upper threshold of $32,500, so he will have to pay a Medicare levy of $880, or 2% of his salary. That takes his total bill to $5,008 in the 2024-25 financial year. Zara is doing well in her career, earning $70,000 a year as a graduate lawyer in Melbourne. Her income falls into the third tax band, sitting between $45,000 a year and $135,000. So on the first $18,200, she pays zero tax. In the second bracket, up to $45,000, she pays 16%, or $4,288. And finally, on the difference between her income of $70,000 and $45,000, she pays a tax rate of 30%, or $7,500. Add those up and you get an annual tax bill of $11,788. This is an average rate of 16.8%. If we add on a 2% Medicare levy, that comes to $1,400 a year, and you get a total bill of $13,188 in the current financial year. Now we move along to Eli, who is an investment banking analyst at JP Morgan in Sydney. He earns $150,000 a year. His income is well within the fourth tax band, earning more than $135,000 a year and $190,000. On the first $18,200, he pays no income tax. On the second bracket, $4,288, and on the third bracket, $27,000. That gives us the $31,288 you can see in the ATO tables. On the next $15,000 that he earns, above the $135,000 threshold, he pays $5,550. So if we add up all of those tax tranches, he pays an annual tax of $36,838, or an average rate of 24.6%. Adding on his 2% Medicare levy of $3,000, and assuming that he has private healthcare to avoid the Medicare surcharge, his total bill is $39,838 in the current financial year. And finally, we have Kai, who is a vice president at Google. She earns $300,000 a year, well within the highest tax band, paying a marginal rate of 45%. We add nothing from the first tax band, $4,288 from the second, $27,000 from the third, and $20,350 from the fourth. Everything above $190,000 is taxed at a whopping 45%, or just under $50,000 a year. So adding up all those tax bands, her tax bill in 2025 comes to $101,138. This is an average tax rate of 33.7%. In addition, she also has a $6,000 Medicare levy. So hopefully that makes it easier to understand Australia's current tax structure for the 2024-25 financial year. I've included a link down below to MoneySmart's online calculator. Use it to plug in your own numbers and see how much tax you'll be expected to contribute. Check out this video next to see how much the average Australian makes in 2025. This other video compares the average Australian's net worth. Don't forget to subscribe, and I look forward to catching you on the next one. Cheers.